Exeter 28-18 over Toulouse in the other semi-final. Means they've got a date with Racing 92 in mid-October. Pretty good win in the end, man. It started a bit shaky, but it was interesting. They interviewed Rob Baxter after about 20 minutes. Maybe it was less. And he was still pretty comfortable with how things were going, and smart guy because he seemed to predict it pretty well. There was no crowd at this one. They did play the old fake crowd noises, which were relatively well done. Next best thing, I guess. It was just a bit of an interesting contrast from the previous semi-final. But man, what a beautiful day. What weather to be playing rugby in at Sandy Park. Very, very nice. And Toulouse's started equally as beautifully, I thought. But anyway, I'm going to go over the kind of main points of this game and some of the stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. But yeah, man, beautiful from Toulouse. So much possession, slick passing early. Eventually, they won a penalty in about 4 minutes to make it 3-0. So they were up ahead. Exeter got a turn with the ball a bit later. Intermac got a genuine attempted intercept, which he knocked on. So he wasn't penalised for that one. Could have been trouble if he'd got the ball. 11 minutes, Marchand won at a penalty at the breakdown. And sure enough, Toulouse kicked it. So it was 6 points to 0 after about 10 minutes. And this is probably just before the time they interviewed Rob Baxter. And like I said, he was still feeling pretty confident. I mean, he's obviously not going to say, I think we're going to get done like dinner. But Toulouse were the better team early. They went about 15 phases at one point. Huge went into touch near the try line. He's a big guy, but they managed to put 3 of them put him into touch. Exeter won a penalty at scrum time to kind of get out of jail at that point because they had been under the pump, but their line-out was struggling. They missed a couple early, but I think those were the only 2 they missed throughout the game, so it did kind of get progressively better. Unfortunately, maybe this is also a factor in that, is the fact for Toulouse that after about 20 minutes, Rory Arnold went off, holding his arm, kind of using his shirt as a bit of a sling. And he is a line-out stealing king and puts a lot of pressure on line-out time. So it may be no coincidence that he goes off and Exeter's line-out suddenly starts to operate a lot better. Big loss for them. 27 minutes, Witten gets a line break. He kind of holds the ball in 2 hands and just shimmies through a gap. Everyone's just waiting for him to do something with it, and all he does is just go through the gap and puts the old hammer down. I thought Hogg kind of wanted the ball, but he didn't see him back on the inside. He kind of kept going out. Eventually, they got turned over and conceded a penalty. They were conceding a few penalties at the breakdown, to be fair. On half an hour, 7 phases from Exeter, and it was Harry Williams who got the first try. O'Flaherty got the line break, and man, he was good. He didn't get his name on the score sheet, but O'Flaherty looked dangerous every time he got the ball on this one. He got them into that territory, 7 points to 6. So first lead change, and there were 3 of them in this game. It was only a few minutes later that Placine got the try for Toulouse to hit kind of straight back. Colby, that man who we were looking to see perform well, down the right wing. He linked up with Dupont and Gattoon. Heap of space on the left wing for Placine. He was essentially out there on his own. Kind of hit the ball at slow motion because he's not the quickest fella, but he had that much space. It did not matter. So he went over for a try. They missed the conversion. 11 points to 7, but the first half wasn't done, man. It was all like the last 5-10 minutes of that first half were just madness. Exeter get a kickable penalty on 38 minutes. I'm thinking this is a semi-final. Surely these guys are going to kick it. No, they tap it. And you guys have been telling me in that last video, Exeter love a good tap. And I can see why, man. Like, I could see Rob Baxter, again, shaking his head in the coach's box. I don't know whether he was shaking his head at something else or whether they didn't take it 3 points. But either way, man, Sam Simmons goes over for the try. It was like a couple of phases after the tap. Those guys are just so hard to stop from 5 meters out. They're just incredible. Like, I was like smiling from ear to ear. It's just such different styles as well from like the Toulouse try, which is Colby almost going a touchdown the right wing, offload, huge pass down to a loose forward on the left wing. And then these guys are just like, tap it, boom. You can't do anything. Like equally as beautiful, just in a different way, right? Totally different style. It's another reason we all love rugby union, right? Is because you can seriously play in such a different way. 14-11 at halftime. Contrast in styles. both incredible, is the note that I wrote on my old little notebook here. Second half kind of starts off a bit tentative. Both sides kicking for a bit of territory, trying to get the advantage for each other. Toulouse eventually win a penalty, but they miss it. It's short. Maybe costly, but probably not really in the scheme of things. There were lots of penalties at that point. It was a bit messy both ways. There were scrum penalties. Both guys getting turned over. It was a bit stop-start in the early part of the second half. 53 minutes. Toulouse go like 10 phases, but they're not really getting through Exeter's defence. They cross-kick to Huget, but again, he gets put into touch again. Not the first time that's happened in that game. 56 minutes, Hogg gets a line break, and it's Maunder, and he slips. I think maybe he could have gone close if he'd kept his feet, but he slipped. Hogg probably wasn't as dangerous looking as O'Flaherty. At least he didn't get as much ball anyway, but he was certainly looking dangerous at that moment when he flicked the ball to Maunder. But either way, they got a penalty, and they went for a line out rather than a tap this time. 5-meter maul, and they go like 15 plus phases, and eventually they look for a grounding for Harry Williams again, and the TMO goes with the referee's decision. Says nothing to overrule the try because the ref gave it on the field. So yeah, second try for Harry Williams. Great bit of forward play and a great conversion from Joe Simmons. And it's if Sam kicked the conversion, that'd be equally impressive. 21-11. 21-11, they're looking pretty good value. 10-point lead. 64 minutes. Toulouse get a huge period of pressure. They're about 5 meters out from Exeter's line. They concede a penalty. Exeter's defense is honestly just so tough. Bad news for Toulouse as well. 66 minutes. Colby goes off looking a bit sore, and he is a game breaker. Kept relatively quiet in this one, even if he did have a big part in that first Toulouse try. 70 minutes though. Joe Simmons does get a try. A couple of dummies from him, and it's that man O'Flaherty again in the build-up. Really good from him. That makes it 28-11, and you could tell by Joe Simmons when he goes over the line. They know at that point they've got the game. Pretty much Fat Lady is all but singing. Toulouse did get one well-worked try before full time with about 4 minutes to go through LaBelle. There was maybe a bit of the foot off the gas from Exeter, and also just like kind of crazy, we need to score now passing from Toulouse. It came off. It was a bit anticlimactic because they still need one try to get back into things. So it was one that was kind of going through the motions, even though it was kind of length of the field and heaps of passes and whatnot. So, yeah, but that's how it finishes, 28-18. Really, really good job from Exeter. It makes it a fascinating final because Racing 92 are kind of like Toulouse, I guess, in that they're a crazy offloading, team. You got lots of Scotsmen in the final. Someone mentioned in the other car, I think it was Michael mentioned in the preview that we could see Hogg up against Finn Russell, and we're going to see that. So that's going to be fascinating. Johnny Gray's there as well, so big Scottish contingent. French team against the English team. I kind of prefer that to two English teams or two French teams going up against each other because it's European Champions Cup, right? It's nice to see two teams from different competitions go at it. In terms of this game, we won't get ahead of ourselves. For this game, run meters finished 358 to 513, so Toulouse had more of that. But Exeter had more possession, 53%, more territory, 54%. But it was actually kind of game of two halves. Like possession was 44% Exeter in the first half, but 64% second half. So overall they had more, but it was kind of game of two halves. Knock-ons, 2 by Exeter, 4 by Toulouse. Remember in that earlier game this morning, well, for me it was this morning, for you guys it was like yesterday afternoon, it was like 14 by Racing and 7 by Saracens. So a lot better hands in this one. Maybe it was that fine weather, but remember it's an indoor stadium they played earlier. All the other stats are really even, like clean breaks 6-7 in Toulouse's favour. Defenders beaten 26-25 in Exeter's favour, so very even. Offloads, though, again, shows to the way these teams play. 6 offloads by Exeter, 24 by Toulouse, but it's only that 28-18 that really matters at the end of the day. Turnovers conceded was 12 by Toulouse, only 5 by Exeter, so much better management of the ball when they had it, you'd have to say. Also, Exeter made 144 tackles, tackled at 85%, very efficient. I mean, Toulouse is still 82%, which is not bad. Made 120 tackles. Also a pretty solid defensive effort on their own, but not quite at that same level as Exeter for this one. So, yeah, individuals. O'Flaherty, like I mentioned, 81 run meters, 7 defenders beaten. He was a bit of everywhere. Witten made 15 out of 16 tackles. Johnny Gray made 16 out of 18. Klus for Toulouse made 12 out of 13, which is also a pretty good effort. I think Colby was limited to like 3 defenders beaten, which for him is a pretty quiet one, to be honest. But yeah, good game. It was close until it wasn't, and Exeter kind of reaching their potential in Europe, which is really, really good to see. So yeah, still got a few weeks to wait for the final, but should be a really good one. I'm very much looking forward to it. You guys let me know your thoughts on this game. What did you think of it? Kind of key moments, key players, any predictions for the final? Maybe a bit too early to say, but yeah. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later.